All right, so we are back with the video. We had just finished the CSS out. We have our HTML. We tested it. We have some screen. So now we're going to actually get into the coding exercise itself. So first and foremost, we talked about recording your client information. So we'll start off with so basically what we're going to do is build a function, which is an API that gets called. So it's called constant API controller. The reason we're using it constant because it's not going to change. Equals function. So this will be a function. Open close bracket, which calls a function. And then here we'll put the squirrely brace and start from here. So now what we're going to do is in this demo, we're going to put our API key here, but typically our key in a secret or typically store some secret location. Typically in JavaScript, we'll do like .env right here, and we'd store our credentials in here and get a call. But for learning purpose, this is fine. Call. So I'll say constant client ID. So this is the client ID that you set up on the Spotify email that we did earlier, and we'll just do this. And then we'll also have another constant. I'll put the key in there in a second. Called client secret. Okay, and then you put your key in there. So I don't care if my key is shown because this is just for a demo purpose. So I will put my key right here. So it's the client ID, and this is my secret. Copy that. Boom. And so what we'll do is we'll start building up the shell of the service. So we have some private methods that we have to call. And within these private methods, we'll build out the shell of it, and then we'll go from there. So first thing is we need a method called get token. So we need to be able to call the token at some point. So it'll be async command, and then we'll have a callback on here, which which in this case will actually have some code in here, which will call our endpoint and so forth. But right now we're going to use this as our starting point. So that's a copy there. The next thing that we're going to need is we're going to need one for our genre. So, and then we'll need one for a couple others. So I'll just move these in here and then we'll copy them out as we need them. So we'll need token, genre, list by genre. What we're doing. We will also need tracks. I think another track. Well, okay. So we have get token. Next one will be we'll have get genre. The next one will be get playlist by genre. Get playlist. There we go. And then we'll get token or get tracks. Yeah, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we need to get track as a singular value. I think we only have 4. Get token, genre, playlist genre, get tracks. Okay, so I had that wrong. Perfect. So those are our shells that builds our commands out, or at least our methods. Okay. The next thing I want to do here is I want to build out my return statements that we're going to have. So for example, when we call the return statement, we're going to have return get token. So we'll call our get token that we have up here. Oops. Return, yeah, that's actually right. Get token. Oh, got it messed up. What the heck? All right. Let's do this again. So we have return like that, get token. So now we're just going to call our methods like this, and it'll be return get token. Oops. Select it. Perfect. close it out, boom, and then we do comma. So this right here is our return statement right here. And then encapsulate within the return statement will be all these methods up here, which are private methods. So we need to do get genre. And within the genre, we're going to need to pass in the token. Token is a requirement for us to pass a token to be able to get the information that we need. And token is basically our client ID and our client secret tagged together. So in this case right here, we'll do another return and we'll give the genres. You know what, did I mess it up? Yeah, this should be plural. Perfect. There we go. Yep. So we get our genres, close, come down here, comma. All right, perfect. Oops. What's that? Genres. Plural. Once again, messed up. Perfect. All right, then play list by genre. Pass in the token this time, and within the token, we'll also pass in the genre ID that we'll gather at some point. And then we return get playlist by genre, and then we'll pass in the token and the ID so that when it runs a query, it understands what we're going to do. All right, so then we need to get the tracks. I don't know if that, yeah, the tracks. Oops, I can't spell. Tracks, and then we'll have token, and now we'll have tracks endpoint. So we'll have a tracks endpoint for this, and we will do return. I probably could have copy and paste all this and modified it, which would have been easier instead of typing the whole thing. Get tracks, plural, yep. Oops. And we'll do the token and then the tracks endpoint. There we go. And last, we need to capture the get track as an individual token and track endpoint. And we need to go return track. And within the track, we need to do the token and the track endpoint. There we go. So that right there will build out our breathe. All right, so that right there, let's see here, we have the return statement. See if we have, just make sure we have enough here. Let's see, we're missing. Have a return, and then we have another statement right here. And then we got this over here, and then we need to close out the function right here, like that. All right. Make sure I save my code. Perfect. All right, so now let's start building out our methods. So what we're going to do. Okay. So first one, we're going to have a constant results. And once we do one of these, we can copy and paste it and modify as we need. Equals, we call the weight, which is the async. So we fetch the endpoint, which is HTTPS. I know this offhand because I have it down, Spotify.com. And this is all the stuff I got from the documentation. All right. So we do this right here. And then we choose what type of method that we're going to use. So the method that we're going to use is a post, like that. And then we need to pass in some headers. Okay. So what are the headers that we're going to pass in? So we're going to do the content type. Oops. Like that. And we are going to do the application /x www web form, and then you'll code it. And then we'll do a comma and pass in the next header, which is the authorization. And this will be our key. Some other information here. So we have authorization, boom, basic authorization. So if you see my video on posts on Postman, we talk about basic auth, and we'll do plus HOA, which is a function, which we need to pass in some values in this function. In order to do authorization, it requires a function. In this case, this is a customized function within the library, and then it'll allow us to pass in our client ID and our secret, which is basically our authorization, allows us to connect to the environment. So we'll do client ID, and we'll do plus tick, and we'll do colon, and we'll do plus client secret. And that builds our authorization code. We'll do a comma here, and then we'll build the body out. So within the body, we'll say grant type equals client credentials. Just like that, cool. And then we close it out, perfect. So now that we close it out, we need to be able to display it. So we'll set up a new constant called data equals await the code, and then we'll do a results, which we want to use a JSON file to decode the script, and then we need to return it. Spell would be great. Return the code data.access token, and just like that. There you go. All right, so the other one's similar to this one, but we have to make some modifications, and I don't want to type all that out again. So I'm going to be lazy. So this one right here, get genres, different endpoint we have to call. So instead of that, we'll do API.Spotify v1/browse categories, then locals. So that is the endpoint that we want to use based off of Spotify. This time we'll use a get method. Our headers, we just need authorization because we already did this the first time. So this is an initial thing that we don't have to do again. So now in this case, we have to pass in I could probably put this up here now. So we want to pass in the authorization bear. Well, we want to change this away from basic. On this one, we want to do bear. And we want to pass in the token because we don't need to pass this in anymore because we pass it initially. You have to pass it every time. That would be awful. Let's see, bear plus token. So we pass in our token that we captured. Oops. All right. See, we don't need this here as well because it's a one-time thing. All right. Let's see what we're missing because we have. As soon as I close that, I thought I needed another one. So that's fine. We need our constant, same as before. Only different is our return is going to be different because we're using a different data point. So we're using categories. And then dot items. There we go. Perfect. Let's make sure this stuff is being saved. All right. So that's our genres. Now we need to do get our playlist. That's very similar to this, so it makes it easier. We could just copy this whole line of code here. So let's copy this, get our playlist. So when we do our playlist, we're just going to have a different API, a little bit different. So we have our category here, right? So we have to put a $sign here because we're going to use a input value. So this is going to be a parameter. So we're going to pass in the genre ID. that. And then it's going to be slash playlist. And all this could be found in the documentation. Then we're going to take this out here because this is not part of it. Playlist. And then we're going to set a limit to it. So we can set our limit at how many records that we want to receive back. So we'll do $, limit. Oh, there we go. Boom. So we have our get, we have the authorization bearer and our token. All that is the same. Different item down here is we want, instead of having categories, we want to have playlist. So we pull up our playlist item. Now we want to do, did I do that messed up? Playlist by genre. I feel like I messed up. We had get token. Oh, you know what? I see what happened. So here is the thing. So I'm doing this playlist by genre, and I do this limit. But what I noticed is I didn't set a limit, so it doesn't know what, because we're saying limit equals limit, and I was looking at something doesn't seem right. So I have to come down here and set that value. So we need to set up another constant. That was wrong case. Constant limits equals, then you can set a hardcode value here, and I'm setting it to 10. So that way it knows how many records to do. All right. Next one is tracks. Very similar. So let's copy. Paste it here. Now this one, we're going to do tracks instead. But we're going to use limit again. So we'll just keep that same value. Method, we're doing a get method. Authorization, same thing here. This will be a lot less because we don't need to grab the endpoint. We could grab a different value. I'll explain that in a second here. So what we could do here is do a fetch, and what we could fetch here is some different information. So let me, I feel like I need to trash here. So I do a fetch. We'll do a tick, $, and within the $, we'll do actually this, and we will do tracks endpoint. Bracket right there, and we could do limit equals our limit. Put everything in these brackets. Tick there, that should be good. Our method is get. Our headers, our authorization bearer token. That looks good, but something is off. What is off? Get tracks. We have, oh, I left out some stuff here. So it seems confused because I'm supposed to have some parameters here that are missing. And I'm noticing that about a couple other ones too. So there were some mistakes done here. I did it up here as well. I'll get genres. So I talked about adding tokens in and being called, but I never set the token in a parameter. So let's go all the way up here. Yep, not sure what's taking them out. So I need to set the token here. When we get down to genre, we need to have a token here so it knows what it's calling. That's where we're having some error messages down there. Get less the genre, so we need a token and the genre ID. Perfect. And then down here for tracks, we need token endpoint. There we go. Still having some issues there, I see. All right, let's see what we messed up on. All right. Constant result equals a weight fetch. All right. I don't think this is a problem, but I'm gonna see. Might want that there. Yeah, so you have to do it's up next to the one curly bracket, or it won't work. So let's see here. I have to do the same thing here. What's wrong with? We are on get tracks. All right, so well, no, that's the same thing. Limit equals limit. Oh, all right, that's what I messed up on. Should have comma here. Get okay. All right, so we got that one down, and then we have to do get track, which is pretty much the same thing, I think. So let's just double check here. Copy this code here. Oops, all of it. All right, get track. All right, so we have our get track. This one does token, which we don't have in here. And then we have tracks endpoint. There we go. Constant result fetch. I'm just looking if this is right. Tracks endpoint. Yes, but that is all we need here. We don't need to set the limit here. So, all right, tracks endpoint. Okay, that's good. All right, so now we need to make some changes here because this data is not going to be playlist. It's going to be just going to be return data. Yep, return data. This one up here is return data items. Let's see. Then we get playlist by genre, playlist items. Okay. All right, so this all looks good. Perfect. All right. All right. Some of this other stuff I might copy and paste because there's a lot of stuff going on here. All right. All right. So now we need to build a UI model. So we need a constant. We're setting up another function, controller. This is our controller. Calls our function. And within here, we need to have a constant has holds references. So I can build a constant called dome elements equals, and then we can build the elements in here. So I could do select genre. So these are your selections in your list, like that. And then we could do, so it knows where to go at on the screen. Select genre. And then we could do select playlist. That. We could say select playlist. That, perfect. We can now do button submit. So we have a button to submit information. And we'll call it button. So these are just references, HTML references, allows us to know where things are at. Submit. We need to have a div song detail. With the song detail, we will have, oops, wrong one. We will have song detail. And then we need to have href token. That'll be hidden. Like that. And then we need a div song list. Oops. There we go. Perfect. Space here. All right. So next thing that we need to build is we need to have some public methods. To return the information. So we can say return, so large return, and then we can have our input field. So we can have input field. Then within that function there, we'll say return. And then we can have our do a query. So we can do genre like that. And we can say document dot query selector. We need to make a query selection. Then we could do DOM elements, and then we could do select genre like that, and comma. So we could do that for all of that. So we need 1, 2, 3, 5 different things. Let's copy and paste and make changes. All right, so next one will be playlist. Then we need tracks. Then we need, oops, I can't spell. The tracks, we need submit. And then we need song detail. All right, so now our selections are going to be different. So we're going to have select playlist. And then after playlist, we're going to have div song list. Oops. And then we're going to have our button submit. And lastly, we're going to have div song detail. There we go. So those are our public functions. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to build out methods. So we're going to stop the video here, but when we come back, we are going to set up methods that matches our list above that we just did. And then after we build our methods out, we'll have to do some return statements. And then we'll have to build another controller to handle the app aspect of it for our inputs. And then we'll be pretty much done. So probably another half-hour video to get this completed. Thanks for watching.